Welcome to the What I Wish I Knew After Pregnancy Loss podcast. I am your host, Shana Southern. I am an angel mum, a rainbow mum, a pregnancy loss practitioner, and trauma-informed coach. I created the Institute of Healing Through Pregnancy Loss out of my own experience with loss in the hopes to provide understanding and healing, educating people on pregnancy loss, and creating more women or men in trained support roles. In this podcast, I hope to shed light on what I wish I knew in relation to pregnancy loss, opening up the conversation, breaking the stigma, and bringing real-life stories plus guest experts. Thank you for being here with me today, and let's dive into today's episode. Hello, beautiful souls. Today's episode is a part 1 of a part 2 series. So I hope you enjoy listening into part 1 and make sure that you do listen into part 2 when it becomes available as well. Now let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, the intersection of pregnancy loss, fertility, trauma, and purpose, having the conversations that should have been happening all along. Today, again, I have with me Shruti Trivedi. Shruti is an ICF ACC certified life coach and founder of Tulsi Heals Life Coaching. After experiencing 2 pregnancy losses, including the passing of her twin boys, she found herself ignoring her grief for years until seeking therapy that transformed her life. Today, she helps working mothers and professionals release guilt, prioritize self-care, and embrace mental well-being with compassion and courage. Welcome again, Shruti. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have another conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Sharna. It's amazing to have another conversation with you, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah, me too. When we were talking the last time, there were a few things that popped up that I was like, oh my gosh, I could just really go down that path as well. And so when we got off, we were like, we need to have this conversation. We need to go down that path. So I know, obviously, or if you're listening to this episode and you haven't listened to the first one, I encourage you to go back because Shruti obviously shares her story in that episode. So it'll be episode 108, and go back, have a listen, and see what her story was all about. But if you want to, Shruti, just give a really brief explanation of your story, and then we'll dive into what we wanted to talk about today.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Just going to quickly introduce myself. I'm Shruti Trivedi. I think Sharna already covered majorly, but I have 3 beautiful children that light up my life. However, I've also had 3 pregnancy losses, and that I've almost ignored my mental health for about 11 years. And it took me a while to even accept that I needed help. And now I just want to help out grieving mothers. Just listen to yourself and understand that you're not alone. And that's my life mission now.
Yeah, and like we've spoken about before, having these conversations, they're so very important. And there's so many different facets to it, which is what I wanted to talk to you about today as well, because we touched on probably really briefly, really the whole, okay, now the pregnancy and sort of life after loss, because we go through the experience and it's not just the experience itself, it's how that ripples out into our life after loss. It affects so many different elements, and then it also affects subsequent pregnancies and parenting, and also what our kids are exposed to, because you touched on also that your daughters were watching you go through the experience. So there's so many different elements to the healing journey that, like I said, it just goes beyond the experience itself. So I don't know really where to start. I guess we could start as a pregnancy after loss, because essentially going into subsequent pregnancies, it can be really difficult going into doctor's appointments, going into hospitals, going into scans. Do you want to share your experience with that? And yeah, the milestone moments, the feelings that you came up with you around that.
Absolutely. So I lost my twins back in 2017 and I conceived again in 2018. So I had to go back to the same hospital, to the same radiologist for my ultrasounds and the same rooms. And I've always enjoyed my ultrasounds, looking at the babies and their tiny hands and their tiny legs, and then they just dancing around. And I remember all the ultrasound appointments in 2018 for my son. I used to be petrified. I used to be stoned. I used to lie there just remembering my previous years, my twins' appointments. And anytime the doctor would take a while to just check on something or do some back and forth, I used to have this panic attack. What's going to happen? Is the baby going to make it? Why are they talking? Why are they whispering something? And then it would come out, okay, it's fine. Everything looks good. But every appointment felt fearful. And when I reached 23 weeks, because that's when I delivered my babies, my twins, when I reached 23 weeks, everything was fine. And 24th week, it felt like an accomplishment. Okay, 23 weeks are over. And even then, there was still fear in every appointment until delivery. I broke down after the delivery. Okay, my baby is alive. My baby is crying because when were delivering my baby, I was like, is the baby breathing? I couldn't see. And they put the baby on my chest, crying and screaming. I just broke down. Yes, this is my baby's crying. He's alive. So yeah, it was very traumatic to go through every appointment after that, just 1 year later in those rooms, in the gynecology rooms and with the gynecologist office and the ultrasounds. I'm just feeling it right now as I'm speaking, how it really felt. But it can be very traumatic.
Yeah, it absolutely can be. I remember, like you said, as if they hover that little bit longer over a certain spot, you're like, they're going to tell me the exact same news. It's almost like it's that self-fulfilling prophecy because you've been through it before. It's bound to happen again. And then you reach certain milestones in your pregnancy and then you think, oh, I'll be okay when I get to this point in my pregnancy. I'll be okay when I get to this point. I'll be okay when I get to this point. And you're not. And you're like, you're questioning, maybe I should be, or maybe what's wrong with me? And the doctors are telling you it's a normal pregnancy, you'll be okay. And you're like, this is far from normal for me. This is petrifying. And I remember the whole week before leading up to the birth of my daughter, I just cried because being told there was no heartbeat in the first pregnancy with the miscarriage, I was almost projecting that out onto having her and having a stillbirth. And it it was like just through my entire body, the fear of that happening. Then when it didn't, I think I went the complete opposite to you. It was just like this wave of just calm. And I didn't cry. I didn't do anything when she came out. And I was just like, oh, yeah, this is it. This is like the end outcome that I've been wanting. But it was complete opposite even to what I thought was
Mm.
going to be like. And then I wasn't crying, and I'm like, I should be crying. I should be really like, this is weird. Like, what's happening? But it was just, my body was just like, that this is it. It's done. She's here. She's okay. Not to say that the birth was a bit traumatic itself. They kept losing her heartbeat. But to be honest, nothing crossed my mind in that moment of losing her. I was just like, no, she's there. They'll do everything they can to get her out. I just remember the fear, the crippling fear of every single sensation that you're not used to because you get further along in your pregnancy and then you start getting random cramps or sensations or feelings. And then you're like, is that normal? Should I take myself to the hospital? Should I get
Yeah.
that checked out? And there's just no support for that. And this is where we also need to speak about it because it just doesn't go away when you experience reproductive loss, trauma, stillbirth, all of that. Subsequent pregnancies don't just magically make that all go away. But yet, there's no support for that. There's no support for women who are going through those pregnancies, who have experienced loss, but are still carrying all of that mental, physical trauma with them.
Absolutely. And it's not like it fixes it. And that's what took me so long to address it. Like after my first miscarriage in 2011, I got pregnant again in 2013 and I delivered my middle daughter in 2014. So that didn't erase my grief. Okay, now I didn't have one baby, now I have one. So now it's not like math where it's like negative positive cancels each other. And then in 2017 again, and after I lost my boys, 2018, I was blessed to conceive again. But that doesn't cancel the pain.
Mm.
And I think hearing that from people, from some near and dear ones, like, oh, you are lucky to at least conceive again. Some people cannot even conceive again. I understand, and I feel bad for, and I'm empathetic towards those people who are not able to conceive again. But that doesn't mean that my pain is not valid. And that's whole another part where it's like comparing pain. Even both of us have experienced loss, but at the same time, it's different. I can
Yeah.
completely understand the loss. You can understand the pain that we've both went through, but it's still different the way you process the pain. Like we just spoke about the deliveries, right? How our successful deliveries of our babies, what was the response to it? Yours was calm, mine was breaking down. So it will be different what you're going through, how you process your emotions. And so it's different for different ways. There's no comparison at all. And that's whole another thing that I've had to go through. Okay, you have one more now in the brackets, stop whining and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And that's why I did not seek therapy for another 5 years. I know 2017 was something that cracked me open. Like I I was like I had to take therapy at that time, but because of these kinds of maybe comments and feedback, I ignored it again. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm really whining. Maybe I'm really just acting up. And I was so mean to myself during those times. Like, why can't I really move on like people are saying? And difficult. I was not doing my intention. It was just happening. And it took me another 5 years to finally address it. And finally, the therapist validating my feelings that you are right. Whatever you're feeling is okay. That I was needed that kind of validation from the therapist. So,
Yeah. I remember feeling so guilty because I was happy. And then I'm like, but maybe I shouldn't be happy. I'm grateful, but maybe I shouldn't be grateful. And it was just this constant tug of war. And also, then you're fed
mm,
from society, you should be happy. So maybe I should be happy. Maybe because I am happy, I'm not meant to be happy. And you just start questioning everything.
yeah. I recall after I got discharged from the hospital, 2 days later, I had a friend who visited me and I started laughing. And then I started crying. And then I was like, how can I laugh? I just lost my babies 2 days ago. And here I'm laughing. And then I went into this downward spiral of how can I even smile? And my mother gave me a big hug and she said, it's okay. It's okay to just go through your emotions. You're allowed to smile. You're allowed to laugh. I felt like my life was over and I should not be smiling at all. So those emotions also needed more time to process and to accept. Am I allowed to do this? Am I allowed to, or should I just keep crying? What should I do?
I know. And you just want someone to tell you the answer. You're like, just tell me and I'll do it because I really don't know what to do right now. But that's the thing. And again, we're not taught how to process those emotions. We're not taught how to sit with the sadness, the grief, the heartache. And then one day you wake up and you're happy. And you're like, how is that possible? How can I laugh when all of this just happened. But this is the way that your body works. It's not anything to really try and rationalize and to try to talk ourselves around with. It's just whatever the body is processing right now, whatever the body's feeling, that's the sensation, that's the emotion that you're going to get. And it's okay.
One in 4 pregnancies will result in miscarriage. 1 in 8 women will experience infertility. 1 in 100 women will experience recurrent miscarriage. And 1 in 160 births end in stillbirth. Have you been wanting to make a difference in the lives of women or men who have experienced pregnancy loss because you can see so many suffering in silence, but you just don't know how? Collectively, we can change how bereaved parents can access mental, physical, and emotional support after their experience. There is a lot of women with unhealed trauma, and there is a huge gap in the current support system when it comes to bereaved parents' recovery after loss. There are too many women and men suffering in silence. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is a worldwide, one-of-a-kind program that gives you proven methods designed for healthcare professionals, medical staff, midwives, nurses, doulas, birth workers, coaches, and angel parents alike. The Pregnancy Loss Practitioner Certification is bridging that gap. It will give you a proven support structure to follow and education specific to pregnancy loss, created by a loss mum. It is creating more education specifically for loss so that you can enhance your service and become the point of difference. Or you can create the support that you so desperately needed in your healing after loss. This is the next level of growth and expansion you have been searching for. So does this sound like something that you have been searching for? Let's explore this more together. You can head to the episode show notes where you'll find the program application, or direct message me on Instagram and let's open up the conversation in how you can use this education. You have a gift, and I look forward to supporting you and witnessing you bring your gift to the world, healing and transforming women's lives.
It's okay to smile. It's okay to laugh. It's okay. And then the next day, whatever that day brings, whatever those emotions are, it's okay to witness them too. But I think it's, like you said, it's so hard to sit with that and just to be okay with that when you know how much heartbreak you've just experienced.
Yeah, that's so true. You said exactly the point. Just tell me what to do, and I'll do that. That's what I wanted from people. If you want me to cry, just tell me I should cry, or should I hide my crying? And I was also told, don't cry in front of children. You have to stay strong. So I used to just rush to the bathroom, cry louder, and then just washed my face, put on some makeup, and then come out so that my children didn't know. But my middle daughter, though, she can assess emotions. It's like, Mama, were you crying? No, I'm not crying. How do you know? And she was so little. She was only, I think, 4.5 at that time, but she still knew with my red eyes. I don't know how she detected that, but she does that even now at times. And I'm like, how do you know that?
Little detective, emotional detective. But this is the thing too, like the kids, it's not even just what they see, it's what they feel. So they'll energetically pick up what's happening with you. So if you're saying that you're okay, but energetically you're not, you're scared, you're afraid, you're hurting, whatever that is, the kids pick up on the energy, not what we tell them is happening. And then they sense the disconnect. That's why she was questioning, like, are you sure? You know, this doesn't seem right to me. Are you sure? And it's such a powerful thing. And I know you mentioned it in the last episode as well, was that your therapist actually said, no, the children need to see that. You want to protect them. You do, from all of these things and potentially having them being exposed to traumatic experiences at a young age. Like you don't want that to happen, but you also want them to see the process of healing. You want them to see that it's okay to show their emotion, because when they're older, when they're teenagers, when they're adults, then they'll have the emotional intelligence to sit with their emotions. Unlike us or our parents' generation or the generations before that, who were pretty much told, No, you can't cry. You can't feel that emotion. You can't be angry. You can't do that. And then that's what we've been grown up with. You can't cry because crying equals, for me, I was told that I was a sook all of the time, that I was too emotional. So emotions were bad in my eyes. Crying was bad. And you don't want that to carry forward. You don't want your children to grow up with that, because you know that it actually is valid. Those emotions are valid. To feel them is valid. So we have to show them that it's okay to cry. It's okay to break down. It's okay to have these moments.
Absolutely. It's so important. We have all these emotions and we need to give them time to process every emotion, whatever we are feeling. And after my therapist validated that I could cry in front of my kids, I've been more comfortable. And again, like my daughters would just come and give me a good hug, and or my son will come and give me a good hug. And they are able to understand too that okay, she cries sometimes. Sometimes she laughs. Of course, there are times when I get mad. Many a times. but these are just different emotions. And it's I want to help normalize crying, especially like when it's laughter, we don't think twice, right? Whether we should laugh. But why do we think so much about crying? And I think it's necessary for them to know that it's completely fine, so that when they have kids, they don't do the same thing, like you're saying. Generations before us, they've been taught this way. Even we have been taught in a certain way, and that's what we have been following. So let's change that from the next generation.
And it's so powerful, especially like for women too, because and for men as well, because they're also not shown. So as little boys, they weren't shown how to process their emotions. As adults, there's just like a stone wall for most of them. They're like, no, it has to be this way. And then when it's not that way, they don't know. It's almost like everything's out of their control. But to be able to talk about emotions, to be able to, if someone's crying, to go up and give them a hug and genuinely hug them without that like distance of, I really don't know where this is going to go, so I don't want to get too close and I don't want to open this up too much. It could go pear-shaped really quickly, and then have so much fear attached to trying to support someone through emotions. And I've had these conversations a lot with people. They're sheltering the emotions from their children, and I'm like, no, they need to see that. They need to see you in healthily processing your emotions so that they can do that too, so that then they can have tools to process their emotions. They can have safety when they feel those emotions, because a lot of the time it's been unsafe for us.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, even when you get angry, anger is such a big part of the healing process as well. Yes, we get angry at the kids for doing stuff, but anger is also an emotion that will come up through the healing journey with your losses that may feel so foreign. But again, it's a process. It's an emotion that needs to go like through you. So how do we help ourselves through that and allow anger to be okay? Because it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Anger is a completely normal emotion that we all go through. And I think with anger, it's a little different, where we maybe a pause is my favorite word when it comes to anger, because that word has helped me respond instead of immediately reacting and saying something mean or saying something that just comes out of my mouth. So if I just take 5 seconds, I do like a timer of 5 seconds in my mouth and within me, and then I start. So it's some of the words are like filtered through the sieve, and but yeah, it's a completely normal emotion. And I think we only give importance to laughter, and that's like the only positive emotion that's something we all look up to. And all the other emotions are like, no, we need to shelter them, like you say. Okay, no, we cannot feel them. No, we cannot cry in front of these people, or we cannot. So we need to just normalize all emotions, and especially to the next generation.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, joy is, and that's the thing, that's that toxic positivity that you're taught. just be happy. And then you're like,
Mm.
but I can't just be happy. But then you go on and you paint this happy face on, completely dismissing all of the other emotions that are so active and moving in you. And then it's exhausting to be this happy person, ignoring probably like 90% of what is actually happening inside of you.
Yeah.
But just be happy, because I don't know how to deal with any other emotion but happiness.
Exactly. I mean, that positive affirmations, I'm a huge believer of affirmations, of course. Be happy. That's, again, a very regular term that's used casually. Just be happy. You have this, right? You have 3 kids, right? You lost three. I'm sorry for you, but you have 3 kids. So I'm blessed. I feel I'm happy again to have 3 kids, but still, there is still that hollowness within me that I don't have my other three. You can be happy and positive, but at the same time, the other emotions need to be addressed. You can't ignore completely those other emotions and then just show that, put on that happy mask all the time. You once you know how to handle, you can't keep crying and not address it. So cry, like even when I have my moments where I let myself cry through 30 minutes, but that's where therapy taught me how to rewire and reframe. Okay, now you've cried, now I feel okay. Now I go into that peace mode and address it. So cry and then readdress and then come into that positive mode. So I think that's where being happy or being positive makes sense to me rather than escaping.
Yes, rather than escaping, that's the point. The whole point of being happy isn't to escape the other feelings. It's not to distract you from the other feelings, because, like you said, and it is a process to get to that place of happiness. And even if you're painting that happiness on, it's not going to be sustainable for you, because you have all of these other emotions, trauma, whatever, pulling you back, needing time for it to be addressed, but you're not giving it time. So it's like continually pulling you back.
Yeah. I remember like the after I went back to my office after I lost my twins, I went back to the office and people were asking, actually, people thought I had actually delivered and I came back from maternity. So people were just asking, how are the twins? And I used to get stunned. And I used to smile and say, they didn't make it. But inside I was breaking apart. But because I need to smile, I need to be positive, I need to be happy, I was breaking inside. It was like I was feeling, not physically, that all my organs are breaking apart, but I'm smiling and saying, they didn't make it. And it was tough because I had not addressed those emotions within me. And I was just smiling and saying, just because I had been told you need to smile and you need to be happy again.
And it's so many stories that I hear from women are the same. You literally do have to wear a mask, but it's more to keep everyone else comfortable than yourself. Because if they actually knew what was happening, you'd probably scare them away. But this is the thing. We need to normalize these conversations so that society can be able to hold them too. If you're going to ask, about a pregnancy, be okay with whatever that response is. And a lot of society can't, they can't, they only anticipate the good, you had a baby on the outside. That's you're pregnant, you have a healthy baby. That's the outcome. And society is probably a lot of society that's not even aware of it going any other way, of any other outcome apart from pregnancy equals a healthy baby. But this is where we need to go, okay, you know what? This is not how my pregnancy ended. This is how I'm feeling. And be able to have these conversations with people. But we don't.
Yeah, people don't even know. Like, I think there have been some people who are so scared that they would hurt by talking about it. They don't know what to say. and they overthink it. Like people who have not been through it, I think they overthink it way too much. Okay, do I need to go with this whole essay, or this is maybe like some kind of a written note that I need to speak out? I feel bad for you. No, presence. All at that time, I know presence is the key. Your words are, they're fine if they're not perfect words. Sometimes if they're not the right words, they can hurt you even more. So sometimes it's just presence. Just come and sit down, and even if there are no words, that's completely fine. Just say I'm sorry, or I'm here for you, or just checking in, and that's enough. Nothing more than that. So there are people who don't know how to address, and then that they just stay away, not speaking at all. And there is another category of people who would come up with saying these kinds of things, like one-liners, and then it's tough to deal with those. Just, it's okay, you can try again, those kind of things. Inside you just feel, don't talk to me right now.
And that's the thing. It's like a double-edged sword, isn't it? Like saying nothing is just as bad. Not acknowledging it at all is just as bad as saying the wrong thing. But then you want people to not try to fix. And I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to fix the situation because it's uncomfortable. And so they say like a platitude, like a one-liner to try and make you feel okay or make the situation better. But that's, like you said, it's not what's needed. The presence, the witnessing is what's needed. And sometimes just to say, look, I don't know what to say, but I'll sit here with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in itself is validating because they're still willing to be there with you in that moment.
No, that's absolutely true. I still recall one friend, weeks after she took me, she said, just let's get out of the house, meet me for a coffee. And we sat in the coffee shop for 1 hour. She didn't utter a word. I didn't utter a word. We were sitting there. And then I said, okay, I want to go home now. That felt so meaningful. We actually met a couple of weeks back, and I was just reminding her how grateful I am to you, that I still remember that coffee shop meeting that we had. It just felt so peaceful, just sitting with her. We did not even exchange highs or buys at that time. We just met, we sat down, 1 hour went by, we looked here and there. We used to work in the same office across the road. We were just looking at that building, looking at other people, and came back home. But that one meeting was so meaningful at that time.
I think that's beautiful. I actually think they're the type of friendships that, like you said, you will remember, and those moments mean so much, even when years pass. But unfortunately, those experiences are few and far between. And this is what, again, if anyone's going to take anything from this conversation, is just to be able to be that person, to be able to, even if you don't say anything, to be okay with the silence and just know that sometimes that is all that is needed. Like you said, just the presence.
Thank you for listening in with me today. I hope you found this episode helpful. If you did, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Take a screenshot of this episode, share it to social media, and tag me at Institute of Healing_PL. I love seeing what is resonating with you right now. If you want to chat further, I invite you to connect with me through Instagram. Head over and follow my Instagram account, send me a DM, and let's open the communication. If you want to know more about how you can be the support for others, head to the show notes and fill out the application form for the Pregnancy Loss Practitioner certification. I want to also note here that what I share within the episodes is not medical advice. If you need further support, please consult your doctor. Thank you again. Much love to you. Be gentle with yourself, and I look forward to supporting you on the next episode.